70615 Fire Mech is one of the latest sets in the summer Ninjago movie wave. The set's going to cost $69.99 USD, which will get you 944 pieces as well as 6 minifigures. Now, judging from the box, the set appears to have a fairly striking resemblance to its movie counterpart. But does that actually translate into a good set? Well, let's take it out of the box and find out. Impressions upon completing this set is that he's pretty big. In fact, I'd definitely say he captures the essence of his movie counterpart the most out of any of the other mech sets. Now, the building experience was pretty enjoyable. The bright, vivid reds really keep the building from being very dull, like, say, the Destiny's Bounty, which was filled with muted browns. The red is very, very pleasing to the eye and makes just everything feel that much more fun. The building is pretty quick, although it is a little repetitive, as you would imagine it would be for most mech figures. Once you've built the leg, you know how to build it, but you've got to build another one. So that is something to be expected. But aside from the repetitiveness, it was pretty quick, pretty fun, and definitely a lot of joy to build. Now, the figure itself is very good. The silhouette here is very nice and imposing, and I would contribute a lot of that to the leg build here. The length of the legs really do help it stand out and appear larger, and that's something that I feel is very lacking in some of the other mechs, in particular the Garma Mecha Man. So I really do have to give kudos to the leg design here. The only unfortunate thing is that there are no knee joints, which is something that I'm pretty sure anyone who's taken a good look at this set already knows, but it is a noticeable problem. Without knees, posing this thing isn't quite as easy as one might seem. Now, we're going to touch upon articulation in just a second, but I just felt like that was an elephant in the room that really needed to be brought up first. Color distribution is handled very, very well. The amount of red there, it really conveys that it is the Fire Mech, and it does look quite nice, very bright and very vivid. And it balances really well with some of the lighter grays, the whites, and the blacks. The blacks in particular, I feel, really gives it a grounded appearance. I like the way it looks more than, say, the past Fire Mech, for example, which used a lot of gold. I don't think gold really has a place in this color scheme, and this one just feels more modern, more sleek, and elegant. And that design element is definitely carried through all the harsh angles and very geometric shapes. It has a very nice Japanese mecha kind of feel to it that really helps convey that this is the Fire Mech. It's a very cool design. The extra flare at the top here really does sell this design a bit more. It doesn't feel quite as lively without those flags. It's something that I felt very similarly to the Toa Tahu from 2015. The extra wings in the back definitely help that figure stand out, and the same can be said here with these flags. It really does show that there is a bit more attention and care put into this mech. In terms of articulation, most of the points that you would expect are there, and some that are actually pretty surprising. One thing that caught me off guard that I wasn't expecting is the toe movement here. These toes are actually on a swivel, so you can move those pretty nicely, which makes for some action poses working really well. Was not expecting that. It also helps that there's some articulation on this sort of ankle bracelet here to kind of get out of the way for those toes. You also have some ankle movement there. It's pretty limited when it comes to up and down motion, though. There really isn't a lot of range of motion there, but it can shimmy to the side quite nicely. As mentioned before, there are no knee joints, which is a big problem in my opinion. I just don't think it really needed the stability that a lot of people claim when it comes to removing those knee joints. I think it would have been able to stand just as fine with some ball joints or something there. I feel like there's a pretty easy way to fix this, and I'm not quite sure why LEGO opted to go with that design. However, there are no knees, and that does limit your posing quite a lot. There is some hip motion here. You can go to the side, but not too far up. That's about the highest range of motion you can achieve by going to the side, and you can also go forward and backward, and you can get some decent level of motion there. Backward, that's about as far as you're going to go. It's not a lot, but it's enough to convey what you're going to want out of a mech figure like this one. Forward, you are limited by the crotch piece over here, but once again, I think that's an appropriate level of movement there for a mech such as this. The cod piece can move up and down very slightly to afford a bit more range of motion for those legs, which is nice, but it can't move other than that, so you're limited there. Arm motion is pretty good. It's a pretty standard for most action figures. You can go up, around. These are also on swivels, not ball joints, so you're not going to be able to have the complete 360 range of motion that you would get on a construction figure, for instance, but it's still there and it still works quite well. The ratcheting system definitely helps support the heavy load that these weapons are going to give it. You have elbow joints as well, once again on a racketing system there. So that works very well. You can have all sorts of range of motion there. And the weapons themselves are on a nice little gear system so they can rotate around like so. Now the shoulders, while they do have a lot of motion, are limited because of the large shoulder pads. While I like the design a lot, it does limit how far up your arms can go before they start running into those flags at the top. And that is a little unfortunate, but honestly, it's something that I can forgive because I feel like the design here just works really well and it sells this mech that much more. So I'm willing to reduce the amount of arm motion for these really cool shoulder pads there. As you can see, the flags can move. They can swivel around pretty loosely. In fact, a little too loose in my taste. I wish there was a bit more of a stable connection there, but it's using those blue pins, so that might change depending on your particular model. Mine happened to be fairly loose. They can ratchet forward and backwards, and they can rotate pretty nicely, so there's quite a lot of motion there. The cockpit can, of course, go downwards to include your minifigure, and this top portion can go up. There's two different angles of motion here that it can achieve, so there's quite a lot of different positions you can give that, more so than you would imagine there would be. And there's a ton of room in that cockpit, by the way. On the back of the model, you can see that he's got two tanks for his fire fuel, his jet fuel there, to use his flamethrowers with. They have some pretty nice decorations with these tubings that go into the side, and then over here, that design element is continued in the arms here. And I really like the sticker placement here. There's not too many stickers for this model, but probably more than a lot of people would enjoy. There isn't really any printed pieces here. On the front, these headlights here do move just ever so slightly, so you can adjust their positioning if you so desire. I personally prefer it to be in its default positioning. I think that just looks the best, but obviously that is up to your preference. As mentioned previously, this set does come with 6 minifigures, which is actually quite a surprisingly large number of figures for this price point. You're going to get a little bit of everything with this one. Kai is the star of the show here and features some torso printing, very nice leg printing, a bit of back printing, no side printing, and 2 faces. Oddly enough, this version of Kai does not actually include the shoulder pad armor or the sword holster that his minifigure typically has in his inclusions in this wave, which is, to me, very strange since this is his flagship set. Regardless, he does still come with the 2 katana, and the 2 facial expressions are the same as all of his other iterations. A angry face as well as a eyebrow raised smirk. While his ninja design isn't really that unique, I do really like the patterns on his legs, that nice diamond red pattern. It's a really big standout highlight to me, and I find the color distribution of this figure to be very, very nice. There's not too much black on this figure like some of the other ninja, and he does a great job of balancing his primary red with the black to really sell his design. Zane is also included with this set. He has a nice geometric straight pattern on his torso printing here, which really does lead some credence to his robotic origins, which is very nice. There's some good metallic prints there, and some leg printing, which is nice. There's no side printing, and there is a bit of back printing, but that's going to be covered up by your arrow pack, which he also includes, along with a bow. He comes with 2 facial expressions like the other ninja, one angry and one trademark smile, which is very nice to see, and his color distribution here is one of my favorites. I really appreciate that they went with the all primary color scheme here instead of resorting to too much black. Henry is a fun little figure. He's one of the civilian characters here. I really like the torso printing here. This shirt design is very nice and actually has a bit of back printing as well. I could definitely see this figure being a nice starter for building your own sig fig. And I'm a huge fan of the very expressive face prints. There are 2 of them here. My only complaint is that they're not that different from each other. It would have been nice to have a neutral or smiling face instead of 2 screaming or terrified faces. He also comes with this nice little brick display where his foot gets stuck in the concrete there, which is pretty funny. And I do like the inclusion of the transparent popsicle. Lauren is also a very nice civilian figure with a very, very complex torso printing here. Not a huge fan of the color usage there. It's a bit too many colors for my taste, and it's not something I would ever use, but it's got a lot of detail, that's for sure. Back printing is there, but very minimalistic, and honestly doesn't really need to be there at all, so. She does have quite a lot of printing on her legs, though. There's a decent amount of colors here. Like Henry, she comes with 2 face prints, 1 terrified look and 1 nervous smile. I appreciate that these 2 are pretty different from each other, though, unlike Henry's. These expressions are very unique, so there's actually some value into swapping the faces. Jelly is one of the disposable henchman characters who is very much not exclusive to this set. You'll be able to find him in quite a few other ones. With that said, a lot of effort went into his torso printing here with some nice metallic grays and quite a lot of line work and detailing on in there. He has some leg printing, no side printing, and back printing, all of which are very well done. He includes a fish gun stud shooter, which is pretty neat, and a lot of really cool printing on top of this fish bowl here that he uses for a helmet. His face is pretty typical, and he doesn't include an alternate face, but that is to be expected. Hammerhead is another figure you're going to be able to find in pretty much every other set, but once again, that doesn't take away from his very, very intricate and very well done torso printing here with nice metallic colors, which is carried into the leg prints and in the back printing. He also comes with some armor, which is attached to his shark head helmet. He comes with a hammerfish, and actually does have 2 faces, unlike his compadre, though they aren't all that different from each other, which is a little disappointing. So overall, I think that the Fire Mech is a very solid set. You're going to get a decent amount of red parts, which are always fun to work with in my opinion, as well as a nice amount of minifigures. Now, most of those minifigures aren't going to be exclusive to this set, but that's not too big of a problem if you aren't planning on getting any of the other sets. This definitely works as a nice starter pack in terms of getting those minifigures. And the figure itself is just really well designed, and the design work here and the nice levels of geometric shaping just works really, really well. I think from appearance alone, this one is easily one of my favorite sets out of this wave. And also, red. You can't beat red, man. Now, I do wish it could pose a bit more, but overall, I don't think that really hinders the experience that much, and I think those can be easily modified with your own bin of parts. So if that's something that you really, really care about, I do think that changing those to have some knee articulation is something that can be very much achievable. But guys, it's going to wrap up my thoughts for the Fire Mech for now. Hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to click the like button below and subscribe. We got the entire wave of Ninjago movie sets here, so if you're interested in seeing those, be sure to click the notification button so that you are alerted whenever we have new videos up. And while you're at it, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/TTV channel, where you can donate to us directly, set your own price, help support us, help support this channel, and help us continue making videos just like this one. But that's all I'm going to say for now, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Var, and I'm going to see you guys next time. Peace. Listen, can you say peace while also doing a salute? I feel like that's, maybe I should go like peace. Peace!